Right, so I'm back here after finishing the first video on the what I think, my opinion, the way it made me feel, my opinion of the plot, the characters in Son of the Wanderer, which is book 2 of the Unicorn Chronicles. So this book that you see right here has book 1, Into the Land of the Unicorns, 160 pages, and book 2, Son of the Wanderer, which is about 328 pages, I think. So I read the first one. I already gave the discussion for it, so you can see that if you haven't seen it. And I joined the discussion of the plot and the characters and the discussion of the ideas that I got from the book, that I learned from the book, in one video for the first book. But for the second one, I am going to divide it into videos. I already did the one for the plot discussion, so now I'm going to do the one for the ideas that I got from it. So this time the book is much longer. So there were 37 things that I marked that I want to discuss with you. So the first one is in page 168. So let's see what I marked there. That's pretty close to the beginning because the first book is 160 pages. So page 168. So you can see here. Let me show you so that you see how I mark this stuff. You see there's number 1 there. And I sort of like marked with pencil a paragraph. So that's where I got. I also use this. So here, if I want to say something about it and I don't want to forget it, I put it there, and then I come back here for my discussion, and I kind of do it impromptu. I mean, I already thought about the ideas. I got a mark here, I go to here, but I just sit here and I go here and come back and read this, and I tell you what I think about it again. So it's kind of like a halfway impromptu. So page, let me see what it's about. So this is in the beginning. I'm not sure I'll ever recover, whispered Kara. Each wand has its own time for healing, replied the queen. The wounds of the heart are much deeper than those of the flesh. So, physical wounds versus wounds in the mind. The thing about when you get hurt, when you have a scar or wound that needs to heal, and it is physical, it hurts, but after the physical part of the body heals, it's done. You're back. You don't have to deal with that pain again. But when it is, a wound of the mind, when it is not physical, but mental, but emotional, or even psychological, you can even call that psychological. Different words to call the same thing pretty much. It is much more complicated because it doesn't heal when a physical part of the body heals. It heals with time. So you need to give it. It heals with time, and also depending on the mentality that you have. The mentality that you have may speed up the time or make it take much longer. It really depends on you. It is one of those things that the same mental wound can happen to you and someone else, and maybe that other person takes a lot longer than you to recover, or vice versa. It depends on you. It depends on how your mind assimilates it, how you are, who you are, and on time. It still takes time for it to actually heal. And I don't know much about this because I am not a neurologist or a doctor or even a scientist, though I have read a lot about scientific topics and that kind of stuff. I do find it interesting, but I'm not a scientist. But I think maybe the reason why time helps to heal these things which are mental is that the mind is adding new memories and new experiences, and you're meeting new people, and many new things are happening. So this thing that wasn't good begins to get like buried in the past and left behind in your mind. It's being left behind little by little, So obviously, if it was really harsh, something that you really care about, someone you really care about, it's gonna take even longer time to leave that behind. And it's also going to take the right mentality to leave it behind. But in general, it's wounds that are mental or psychological, emotional, are way worse than the physical wounds. The physical wound may hurt, may be pretty bad, but after it heals, you're back on your feet and you're ready to go and whatever. You're just ready to go, it's over. But when it is mental, getting over it's a whole new dimension. It's more difficult. It can be done, like anything else, it can be done. But it is, a whole different thing. It's more difficult for sure. So number 2, page 172. Let's see what I picked for that. This is also close to the beginning. So let's see what it says. I've kept them open in the hope that the day might come when we could finally return to Earth. This is most likely the unicorn queen talking about the gates from Luster to Earth. So she kept them open, or at least visit our old home more freely. Alas, I fear it was a fool's hope. So, this is one of those things which is also, related to emotions. She feels that she did the queen, which is supposed to be a wise unicorn. She feels that she may have done not the most appropriate decision, but her emotions were involved in it. So she still decided to leave the doors from Luster to Earth. So, okay, I went way deeper than that here in my comments for my commentary. So fool's hope versus wise hope. Fool's hope is trying to change people. So the unicorn queen leaves the doors there because she thinks, well, maybe the hunters that were trying to hunt us are going to change. That's fool's hope. The hunters didn't change. They will continue, being who they were and doing what they were doing. And wise hope is see. So yeah, basically I focus on the very last sentence of the whole thing that I marked. The last sentence is, the queen says, I fear it was a fool's hope. So what does she mean by fool's hope? And what is the opposite? Or what isn't this fool's hope that she's talking about? So what is the fool's hope? Trying to change people, thinking that if they were these hunters that were doing all these things, these bad things, they're gonna change. Not likely. Not impossible, but not likely at all. So, and what is the opposite of that way of thinking, that fool's hope? It will be wise hope. And what I call wise hope, it's basically doing a... Okay, this doesn't have anything to do with this. That was just an idea that I got because I read that. So because I read that, I got this idea. It's accomplishing things that you're already skilled at, or, doing the things that you can do yourself to solve this problem. So the unicorn queen, if she could have done something to stop all this trouble, she should have done it, but her emotions were involved, so she didn't follow the wise hope. She followed the other one. And this is very common for humans. For anyone for any intelligent creature, if there are emotions involved, and there are other people or other creatures involved, and you care about them, or they influence you in some way, it's very likely that you're going to act or decide not in the best way for everyone or even for you, because those emotions are obviously influencing you. So number 3, page 173. Page 173. Even a queen can be a fool, perhaps more a fool than most. So that's what the queen says. And what I wrote, because being a queen may fool her into thinking that she is wiser. So it's, it's like a two-edged sword, double-edged sword. On one side, you're wiser, you know more. You're more prepared to do many things and many decisions because you reached this position of king or queen or leader. But if this leader is not truly wise and lets it get to his head or her head, they may begin to think, oh, I really make the best decisions because I am the leader now, and I reached this position because I know a lot. But here's the thing, that way of thinking is going to fool them into thinking that they are wiser when that's not necessarily truth, and that may lead them to make bad decisions as well. So let me see what I wrote here for that. So being recognized by other people as someone that knows a lot maybe may fool you into thinking that you're wiser, but there's no such thing as all wise. Someone who's all wise, someone who knows everything. There's no such thing. There's even the people that are the wisest and the smartest, even the true geniuses, which I'm not one. I'm no one, not even close to that. I'm just someone that likes thinking and discussing what I think about and sharing what I think about, hopefully making it interesting. And but even the true geniuses, people that are extremely smart and clever and wise, and they feel like they know everything. And you have a talk with them, and you can also feel how much they know. It's incredible. Even then, are not all wise. No one knows everything. No one knows all the truths about the universe. No one even knows all the truths about planet Earth. So that's at least what I think. If there's someone that knows it, I don't know. But there's always something that you know. So there's no such thing as someone that knows it all. And if someone feels that because they have reached a very high status position, they really know a lot more than most people, they are most likely wrong. Almost for sure they're wrong. That's what I think at least. So page 179, which is, let's look at number 4. Okay, coming from the other side of the group was a female who, though much smaller than the male, had such a look of ferocity that Kara found her almost terrifying. That's talking about Belle. Didn't care much about Belle, but she was another character there, another unicorn. So let's see what I wrote for that. Okay, so Belle is the short unicorn in a group. She looks fierce, and she is fierce. She has a fierce mind. She thinks in a tough way, but she doesn't look as the strongest unicorn either. And based on the descriptions, I think the author makes you think that Lightfoot, maybe even Moonheart is older, but maybe even Moonheart, they look bigger and maybe a little tougher. But Belle looks like the first one in the group, even though she's the shorter one and she's the female. So the reason for this, and this also happens in people, not also in these imaginary characters in this story that I'm discussing. Who you really are is how you think. It's your mentality. It's your mind. That's who you really are. So you can be the toughest in a group, and you can be the one that doesn't look like the strongest one physically, in terms of biceps and muscles. And you can be the toughest one there, regardless if you are the one that has the toughest mind in that group. If you're the one that has the fierce mind. Because I feel that the mind is who we really are. Obviously, the body is a part that reflects something about you. It will be influenced by the mind, obviously. but the mind itself reflects much more. That's why you can have a short fighter that is not as strong beat up another tall and strong looking fighter if this short fighter is much more fierce and more powerful in his mind, you know, not necessarily in his body and his hands, but in his mind. So yeah, that's exactly what I wanted to tell you about this. It's who we really are equals the mind. So if in your mind you are this way, or you are, for example, let's talk about tennis. I was practicing tennis the other day at a tennis court with a really good tennis wall for hitting. I found a really good tennis wall for practicing my tennis skills. So if you have the same skill as another player, none of you two is better than the other, you have been practicing the same time, and you always win, it's more than likely because of the way you think, not because the other one is better equipped than you or anything like that. It's because of the way you think in your mind. You feel more secure in your mind. You have more skill, even though the skill sets of both of you are the same. So it's maybe there's one player that is more aggressive and there's another player